And it's one of these things like, yeah, I can go to the gym and I can work my bicep in like this range of motion, right? But
Right.
really, my bicep has a range of motion of this. If I want to have really good function, I need to strengthen it and gain the capacity in the whole range of motion.
Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Nick Halsey with Motus Nova. I'm a licensed neurophysical therapist and neuroscientist helping brain injury survivors understand how to make functional gains after their injury. I hope this video helps you in your recovery.
Why if you think this is dumb, why if you think you can do it? I mean, it just sounds so simple to be able to pick up with your hand that's affected and grab. Why is it so difficult to do it when you think you can?
Yep.
And you know you've done it before?
Yep. Why? Yeah. Why is it so hard? It's because often what happens after neurologic injury is there's a disconnect between the intent, right? You and I can sit here and think about trying to lift our arms up to grab a cup of coffee. For me, that's my preferred example, right? I love my coffee. So I can try to think about looking, here. In fact, Robin, I can think about, putting my hand out there and picking up my cup of coffee. That's very different than actually executing the movement. It requires different networks. It requires additional networks. And the challenge after a stroke is there is a kind of firewall between our ability to think about movement and our ability to execute that movement. And so that gap between the sort of internal mapping and internal models that we can generate is different than our actual ability to do that. And oftentimes after neurologic injury, it's the thing that actually allows us to execute movements that gets damaged. So that is, yeah.
That so blows my mind. Like, wow.
But yeah, it's exceptionally complex, Robin. Very, very complex. And me being a motor physiologist, a sensory motor physiologist, there's still areas of this, having deep knowledge into this field, there's still areas that we don't know, like how the baseline function results from. So if we don't, there's still a lot for us to learn, let's put it that way. So yeah, I wish I had more concrete answers for you in terms of this is what has to happen. This is the way the circuit is wired. And this is what needs to happen to fix it. We just don't know those like very, very specific things about, well, if this were to be fixed, then everything else would be fine. We just don't have that information right now. But like I said before, what we do know is that the best way we can sort of drive changes at the moment is to go through that repetitive task practice program.
Right. Okay, sure. And I know everybody gets back to it at a different speed. Is there a reason for that? Is there something that actually that hinders it? I mean, I don't do drugs, so I'm just saying somebody out there that's doing drugs, always, would that hinder the brain?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I think anything that we do that could impair the health and quality of your nervous system could certainly cause reductions, right? So if individuals who smoked or had poor lifestyle, these sort of things, those things could all cause reductions in the capacity for our brains to adapt.
Even after dinner or having a couple of drinks, that could hinder it too? Or no?
Alcohol, yeah. Unfortunately, alcohol is a known suppressor. Yes. I will say, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the thing that causes it to work and not work, but it's kind of marginal gains, right? You can do all sorts of things to help, 1% here, a 0.5% there. All those things can kind of work in your favor. Getting good sleep, doing the right dosing, doing the right amount of rehab, making sure you're taking care of yourself, making sure you're staying engaged. All those sorts of things are going to have marginal yet probably important impacts on the long-term outcomes.
Hey, if you're finding this video helpful, please hit like and subscribe to help other brain injury survivors learn how Motus Nova is changing neuro-rehab.
And then in addition to that, you asked what other types of things are sort of contributing. And truth be told, it's also a lot about the injury itself, the extent of the injury, where the injury occurred, and also age is an important factor as well. All those sorts of things are important. it's just really hard to pinpoint exactly what specifically is going to be the sort of keystone, if you will, in the arch that is trying to get that recovery. And it's unlikely that it's any one thing. It's likely that it's some combination of all of them.
So you're telling me in the long run, I probably shouldn't have a drink after dinner, blah, blah, blah.
So I think there's some data on this. I think the way they classified this, they had some what are called very mild consumption, and then basically anything above mild consumption caused some problems. And so generally speaking, a couple of drinks a week is probably not going to cause a problem. I think when you start to get to like 1 or 2 per day, that's where you start to get into that sort of upper categories where you sort of have some problems.
Problems as of like what? Just curious.
Well, I think generally speaking, it has adverse effects on health outcomes. And like I said, since all of, we're basically big systems working together. And if you have a problem with your immune system, or if you have, the alcohol is causing some issues on other biological systems, that could have a down-regulating effect on your capacity to recover.
Okay, just asking, just curious.
Okay, sure. Well, Robin, what else can we do what else can I do for you in terms of questions?
That was it. I just want to know like what can hinder improvement, and just what you answered about the wrist and the hand, and that you answered the question. Botox kills so you can go like, so that's why as soon as you have Botox in the hand, Motus is a good thing.
Precisely. Yep. Because it's one of these things that they work synergistically together, right? If you increase that movement capabilities, you now have more range of motion to practice in. And it's one of these things like, I can go to the gym and I can work my bicep in like this range of motion, right? But really my bicep has a range of motion of this. If I want to have really good function, I need to strengthen it and gain the capacity in the whole range of motion. And so that's why it's important to make sure you have the range of motion to practice in, because to function, we need to have almost that full available range. So that's why the Botox is really good, because it can help you get access to that range of motion. And then the Motus hand will help you practice in it to gain control over that.
When I get the Botox, I noticed that my strength in my hand is gone. I don't have that strength.
That's different. Yep. So if you think about it, it's your flexors that cause your hand to have grip. But that's also causing the problem of that tone. So yep, exactly. It's a little bit of a catch-22 there.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Yeah. But to your point earlier, Robin, I think it's really important to mention for you. You asked about, well, am I improving? And I think if we go back to April, I'm looking at your values right now, and you were at around 30 degrees on average of extension, and now you're regularly up almost to 50 degrees over the past, since June 23rd. You've had really good ranges of motion up in the 40s and almost into the 50s of range of motion. So you've had some meaningful improvement. And this is on your report too, Robin. I hope you're taking a look at this.
Yeah. Not right now.
So that's really good. Yeah, but that's really good.
So it's another question. So when the arm is moving, and you know how you said it's got that muscle inside their arm.
Yep.
And when you this arm standing up like this, and it feels that muscle that's right here on the arm, that muscle. So that's what actually is assisting it to go up. If you're pulling it.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Yep. So remember, our muscles here are extensor muscles. This is what the Motus hand is trying to help with. It's trying to act as a backup for that muscle.
Right. So even though I don't feel that I'm moving it at all, and I am pulling on my extensor muscles, it's going up. Oh.
Yeah. Exactly. Cool. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay. That sounds good to me.
Yeah. And I think one thing that I should mention here, Rob, and I'm looking at the data here. I think we saw a fairly, and you can do this yourself. I do encourage you to do this. There was this really kind of big uptick early June, and you've kind of had a nice sort of, you've maintained that range of motion for a while. But I think what happens is in that kind of June period, you were doing a lot more repetitions, kind of late May, early June period, you were doing a lot more active time there, and you got a bump in your range of motion. So that shows to me that it is working. We just need to make sure we stay consistent with those values.
Okay. Got that hand. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, that answers
okay,
my
well, good,
so.
good. Okay, very good. I think maybe we can do two, Robin. I'm going to go over to David and Vilma really quickly. Okay. But if you have any more questions or you'd like to do anything else with me, let me just go over and make sure that we're okay with David and Vilma. Okay. And I'll circle back around with you and see if you have any more questions at the end, okay?
Thanks for watching this video. If you have questions or would like to speak with me about how you can make functional gains from home, call or text me at 404-939-3476 or visit motusnova.com/contact.